When I created Advanced Adulting, the idea was to help everybody navigate midlife and beyond, specifically all the shifts and changes that happen to all of us, the equalizers, regardless of your geography, education, background, income. It could be things like relationship, your career. It could be how our bodies change. I know it sounds like eighth grade health class, right? But here's the deal. Eighth grade health class didn't do us any favors, especially women, because they didn't talk about perimenopause, menopause, how your body's going to change, hormones, and how that's going to affect your mood, your relationship, your career, everything. And only now is it getting the attention and voice it deserves. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the Advanced Adulting podcast. My guest is Tamsen Fadal. She's author of the New York Times bestseller, How to Menopause. She's also producer of the documentary, The M Factor. But here's the thing. She didn't start out that way. She spent her career as a news anchor in New York City. When she's going through it, she realized I have a lot of questions, and so do a lot of other women. And we don't talk about them. She set about to change the conversation, actually to shine light on the conversation. You might be thinking, what's a middle-aged bald man doing talking about menopause? Well, it really is an issue that affects everybody, not just women. Because if you're a man, you probably have a woman in your life in some form or fashion, whether that's a mother, a sister, a daughter, a wife, a girlfriend, a significant other, a coworker, a colleague. It can be anybody. And you need to understand what they're going through because it's a lot. It's probably not what you expected. I'm excited to talk to Tamsen. I know you're going to love this. We're not only going to talk about menopause, we're going to talk about relationships, dating again after 50. We're going to talk about the workplace and careers and a whole lot more. So stick around for this conversation with Tamsen Fadal, author of How to Menopause. I'm Bradley Richardson, and this is Advanced Adulting. Tamsen Fadal, welcome to Advanced Adulting.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am very happy to have you and talk to you about this. As I mentioned to you before this, I've followed you and been kind of a fan here for a couple of years since before you left TV news.
Oh,
And we were both kind of getting started in this whole midlife adulting thing. And
we were
here
all starting
you are.
to grow up. All grow up.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what it's about? We're growing up in real time.
It is. We're growing up in real time and trying to figure it all out. And I think there's something really nice about that, right?
It is, and one of the things, I guess, one of the parts of growing up is we get to experience puberty 2.0, right?
In many ways.
We're going to talk about a couple of different things here. We're going to talk about midlife. We're going to talk about, obviously, menopause. We're going to talk about, careers, relationships.
Right.
One of the things that I think about with advanced adulting and midlife, and I love about you is, advanced adulting in my book is really about the great equalizers. Anybody in the arena is doing a great job, of talking about purpose and passion and dreams and reawakenings. Awesome. It's not always a nightmare either.
Right.
But I think there are things that we all have in common, and whether that we all go through, regardless of if you're in New York or Texas or California or income or background. Right. Menopause is one of these things. It's a great equalizer. What made you decide, hey, I need to tell the message?
I don't know. I just couldn't stop asking questions about it. I just couldn't believe that 1 billion women were going to be in this transition. This was years ago by 2025 and didn't know their options, didn't have solutions, and had not talked about it. I lost my mother early in life when I was 20 years old. She was 51. She had breast cancer, and we'd never had that conversation. I realized now she went into a medical menopause. I didn't know that then. I don't know if she knew that. But I remember sweat pouring off her all the time, her not being able to sleep, sleeping on the couch at night, feeling terrible, feeling tired. And I'd never had the conversation. And then when I wound up finding out I was in menopause with a note in my patient portal from my doctor that was just 4 words, in menopause, any questions, I was like, wait, what? I just had no idea. And so I think that I started down that rabbit hole, and then I went, well, if I'm having these questions, that other women must be having these questions. And that started with the documentary, The M Factor. And then, I realized that menopause doesn't stop in the doctor's office, and you can only do so much with the doc. So I started working on this book, and I wound up, I'll do a few interviews and we'll see what happens. And it wound up being 42 plus interviews with some incredible experts to cover the different stages of our life, because it's not just menopause. It's, it's midlife. It is starting over again. It's perimenopause. It's postmenopause. It's learning about stress management. And so I just realized there were so many different aspects to this transition in life.
Well, it's funny that, last night I got a comment from a family friend, an older woman. She's in her 70s,
Yeah.
and who discovered I was going to be speaking with you. And she said, what's up with this menopause thing? She goes, nobody talked about this 35 years ago when I
No,
was going through it.
no, they
Look,
didn't.
women have been going through this for centuries,
Yeah.
thousands of years.
Yeah.
Why now is it really? I don't want to say popular. It's not a fad, but I mean, why is it in the limelight now?
Oh, I think that I think Gen X isn't very quiet, and they're like, wait, what?
Right.
What's going on with me? And why
Yep.
is this happening? And how do I fix it? I think that that's part of it. I think the other part of it is that we just all paid more attention to health and longevity than we ever have before. And I think that we have young women saying, hey, I'm not going to suffer like I'm seeing my mom suffer,
Hmm.
going through this. I'm not doing that. I'm not signing up for that. So I think there's a little more care to the conversation. Look, I think social media, for all the things that people don't like about it, has been really tremendous in terms of moving the message.
Hmm.
I also think that women globally are all going through the same thing. I mean, as you said, it is that a great equalizer. And we really, nothing ever showed me more than the documentary when we put it out there, which has now been seen in over 40 plus countries. Women from all over, like we have screenings everywhere, come together in groups.
Hmm.
We give them the film, but they bring the conversation and they bring the questions. And it's pretty spectacular.
Well, it's funny how nobody, I love how you say about Gen X. I mean, I'm the
Yeah.
same, and that's the whole thing. We don't go quietly. We are going to raise the question. We are going to say, hey, why not?
Yeah.
And it's funny because whether it's menopause or other things, I mean, I think I'm just a couple of years older than you. And think about when we grew up. Okay,
Yeah.
no one talked about menopause, but no one also talked about divorce either. I
No,
mean, I
no.
grew up in West Texas, and I remember I was talking to my girlfriend Shannon about this. My best friend Andy, his mom was the one divorced woman in Lubbock,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
now,
yeah. You know which one, right?
oh, everybody knows which one, and
Right.
all the other moms are talking shit
Right.
on her, and this is it, and now it's just there are so many aspects of our life that are commonplace, and I think that's a greater thing. It's not always a how to, you've got to fix a problem,
Mm-mm.
but sometimes just that knowing, hey, you're not the only
Yep.
one, or I'm not the only one. I'm not going crazy. You're
Yep.
going through this too. I think
Yep.
that's pretty powerful stuff.
Oh, it's so important. It's so important. And I think that, for so many of us, we don't realize that the worst part about things is like sitting there in shame and silence and not talking about something, which just makes it worse. And I think that's what's happened in menopause. I think that women were really, really suffering and didn't say anything because they felt like they had to suck it up and be strong and didn't want it to hurt their workplace and didn't want it to
Hmm.
hurt any part of their lives. And now they realize like they can have both, they can have
Hmm.
help and not suffer, and they can also thrive during these times. We're talking about workplace, and
Yeah.
women are in the workplace a lot longer. They want to stay there longer, but we want to do it in a good way and in a healthy way, not feeling like crap all the time.
Well, and you talk about the getting help. One thing that I've learned, I swear to God, I think that eighth grade health class failed us all
Yeah.
on knowing anything. And I've learned more, just going through my own thing. I mean, and men are going through their own,
Sure.
physiological issues, mental health issues. But I mean, I've learned more about women in the past few years, living with Shannon, just about what she's going through in this whole
Hmm.
thing. And
Hmm.
what I've found is just how woefully inept some of the healthcare professionals are out there. I mean, you go see an OBGYN and they're like, oh, you're in menopause. That's fine. Everything's
Yeah.
in the range.
Yeah.
Well, what if
Yeah.
you don't want to be in the range? Or they just chalk it up to,
Yeah.
just the lack of training, the lack of information, or just, that's what it is, accept it.
Yeah.
And, she's had to go seek a lot of answers on her own, as a lot of women as well. And, that's the hard part. What do
Yeah.
you think about being your own advocate? And, how do you
I mean,
recommend
it's
that?
why I wrote the book. There's not enough doctors, and there are a lot of doctors that are not aware of this by their own admission.
Right.
And so I think it was really, really important for me to be able to help women be their own advocates. And I think it's so critical. It's so critical for women to know what to ask, know what to say, know what they're up against, understand what their symptoms are, figure out how to not have that take over their lives and really kind of reclaim this time in their life by taking charge of their health. There's nothing more important. Like it doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't have your health. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of things that, I learned that early on by losing my mother. And so
Hmm.
I'm very aware of that. And so it surprises me slash doesn't surprise me that I found myself almost full circle right back in this area of healthcare after so many years of watching my mother and father and everybody go through their own health struggles. So I think that that's the only thing that we can do right now is take charge of our health. And whether that be we're going to do hormone therapy, or you're going to do non-hormonal solutions, or you're going to provide lifestyle solutions such as,
Right.
movement and stress management, and paying attention to what's going on in your mind and body, and physically and mentally. Um, we owe that to ourselves at the very least, especially during this time, if we're going to live another,
Right.
who knows how many more decades at this point.
Well, yeah, it's the longevity piece, but it's also the what are you going to do with it? And
Yeah,
it's funny. We think of it automatically as this physiological thing, but it impacts so many other things. It
it
impacts
does.
your mental health. It impacts your relationships. All of these
It
things.
does.
And the thing I've noticed as well, just from the outside looking in, is or just by proximity, and everybody's different. Every woman, every human is different on how they're handling this, on what your symptoms are, when you get them, how long they last, all of that. And every person's journey is a little different on this thing.
Yeah, everybody's is so different. There's not a one size fits all approach. There's not one pill you're going to take and it's going to fix it all. We all come into it at different ages, different times, different ways, different
Right.
intensities. Some of it based on race, some of it based on lifestyle changes, some of it based on whether or not you've gone through something medically. And then aside from that, all the different symptoms present differently. Some person could have hot flashes and belly fat, and the other person's never had any of that, but has
Right.
very intense anxiety and heart palpitations. So it can all be very different, which is really why we want to make sure that women, and that's why I did the book, to provide as much information for everybody. So you can
Right.
say, okay, that doesn't apply to me, but that does. I'm not having problems sleeping, but I don't want to have sex anymore. Or I love sex, but I can't because it's painful and doesn't
Right.
feel good anymore. I don't have libido. Or I want to be working longer in the workplace, but I'm tired all the time. So what are my options? So I do think that we have to be aware that everybody, it comes by differently, and not to feel any kind of shame in that too, not to feel like, oh, I did something wrong because my menopause journey was harder than somebody else's, or somebody else told me they breezed right through it. What did I not do right? I think it's about going back to what you said, is really taking charge of our health.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that from a if you look at how men are handling andropause and that whole thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it becomes like a competition. It's like, hey, my testosterone's in the nines and I'm act and look at this and here's me without a shirt. And yet, because that's cool and that's sexy and that's it.
Yeah.
I think women have done a great job in the with building a community.
Right.
Oh, hey sister, you're going through this
I
too.
know.
Let
I
me tell
know.
you. I have been instructed to ask you one question
Yeah.
on
Tell
this.
me.
This is from in my own home. What do Grant, I grew up in Texas, okay? So
Yeah.
there's bingo everywhere, right?
I
She
grew
goes,
up in Texas. I lived in Houston and Missouri City, Texas for.
oh, okay. You get it though. You
I
get it. So the term bingo wings,
hmm
okay?
hmm
Bingo wings of, oh my God, I'm working out, I'm in shape, I've got muscle tone, but I
Yeah.
got crepey skin and I do this and it's
Yeah.
the bingo wings. What have you found in all of your studies here? Is it, product, whatever, to handle crepey skin and bingo wings?
I know, right? Well, first of all, I will say this. I will say that dry skin and all those, everything dry and like losing moisture all throughout your body is so
Yeah.
common and so frustrating. And I would also say that for me, strength training has been everything, which I did not. I thought like, oh God, really? I gotta strength train on top of everything else. But strength training even over cardio. I still do cardio,
Yeah.
but that has been a huge, big deal. Like just really paying attention to it. And even if you're starting with, and that's not for the skin, but that's just kind of more for like the muscle
Right.
tone here.
Yeah.
But even if you're starting with small weights, it's so very important with crepey skin. I mean, there's all kinds of topicals that you can put on. I don't know that it's going to fix everything, but at
Yeah.
least you're providing a chance to moisturize a little bit. I'm an
Fighting.
olive oil girl, so I put olive oil everywhere on everything all the time. I get into bed,
Okay.
but yeah, but that's what I use. But I'm Mediterranean, so.
Okay, so she's Greek, so we'll go with
Yeah.
the olive oil.
All
We'll
right.
try
All
that. Okay, good to know. And I go back to the equalizer statement. I saw a recent interview with your friend Halle Berry
right.
talking about pretty graphic interview talking about some issues that she was having.
Yeah.
It's just everything that everybody has,
Yeah.
and to let people know that hey, I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a good. You don't have to suffer in silence. So
No, it's half the battle. I mean, we have to know what everyone's going through, honestly. And I think that allows other people to talk, right? It allows other people to feel comfortable talking. It allows other people to feel like, wait, if she's going through it, then then if I can talk about that too. And so I think that that's the stage that we're getting to, which makes me feel really excited. I feel very excited by the fact that we're starting to have this conversation really out loud, and not being shy about it, because that is just so important.
I have a large female audience, which is great. So they're going to love this book. But for the men out there, just before this conversation, I was on with this a publisher in the UK who I do some content for a women's magazine there. And last summer they had me do an article about what women need to know about their husband's midlife crisis. Okay.
Oh,
I hear from a lot of my female audience, oh, well, my husband's not interested anymore. Men like younger women, all of this. And, I shared with her that it's not always that. It's the fact that we're going through our own
yep,
midlife changes,
yep,
and the fact that it's not that he's not attracted to you, it's that he doesn't want to disappoint you. He needs
yeah,
a bottle of blue pills and a team of NASA
yeah,
engineers to be able to make anything
yeah,
happen. What would you say to men out there that they need to know? My wife's not attracted to me anymore, don't want to sleep with me,
yep.
is moody all the time, all of the issues and symptoms. What would you tell men out there
Yeah, I
that
mean,
they need
I
to know?
would, yeah, and I love that question. I would say, like, be very aware that, women, sex can be very painful during this time. It might not have anything to do with you and or the relationship. I would say that, low libido can be caused by this, lack of hormones in our body. And
Hmm.
sometimes we don't even realize that's what's going on. But I would say to communicate, communicate, communicate. Like, that is the thing to do, because I don't think that there's any other way to make this happen the right way. And it's not always easy to have the conversation, but there are other ways to be intimate and to be able to talk about it and have somebody that really understands it makes all the difference in the world. And there
Hmm.
are solutions for that. There's solutions that are topical solutions or other kinds of solutions that you can use to help with sex. And then also, when it comes to hormones, there's vaginal estrogen that is very
Right.
helpful too if you're dealing with painful sex as a woman.
And it's funny. It's not just the sex issue though. It's the idea of the self-esteem, the mental
Oh,
health
all of
issue. I
it,
mean, I think
all
that's
of
a
it,
huge one.
all of
Everybody
it.
wants to feel attractive, but you're sitting there going, "Wait, I'm suddenly saggy. I suddenly have no energy. I suddenly, you
I
know."
don't want you to see me like this. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all of it happens. I mean, the lack of confidence happens during this time. A lot of it has to do with just mood changes overall. But I would say once you can take control of this, understanding what it is first and foremost. I never want to underestimate how important it is to take control of that and be aware of what you're dealing with. And once you're
Hmm.
aware of it, then you can start going from that point. So you're not saying like, wow, something must be just wrong with me. And I think
Right.
that that's what a lot of women went through for a very long time. What's wrong with me? What am I not doing right to feel better? And I think when you have this conversation and we're more open about it, and we can talk about it and have community around it, then we can solve those solutions. And I think
Hmm.
that's where that confidence is waning right now.
I know for a long time. I mean, uh, doctors would not misdiagnose, but didn't they just say, "Hey, look, well, here's some antidepressants. Go on your way."
Sure. Or it's
And
all part of aging.
yeah, and men, same thing. I mean, you realize that there's a physiological change, but all of these other things that you're weighing on, it's just rub some dirt on it and you're okay. Don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not healthy for anything.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And I think that the worst part is that we get down this road where we don't understand that that's what's happening to us, and it,
Mhm.
and it becomes just kind of this cycle overall. And that's why I think that having this so out in the open is really important, even if the conversations are happening anywhere and everywhere, because I think we have to reach everybody. It can't just be the women, it's got to be the men too.
No, it's got to be everybody, and I think everybody also from a call it what it is, just an economic standpoint too,
Yeah.
because I've heard conversations from women who may be uninsured or not have great health care,
Yeah.
or again, other countries just blow us away on our lack of being able to prescribe hormones and
Yeah.
that type of therapy is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Which is
being open and knowing that you can get help and treatment other places is critical.
Oh, it's so critical. And, it's where I hope workplaces also step up at some point. So we start seeing those benefits, or at least access to coaches and care and understanding, or at least a telehealth company that can help prescribe, or at least talk to people during this time.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a second, but I want to thank our partner, Inner Hive. They're an app that helps caregivers record, transcribe, and share medical appointment and care updates that keep families organized, informed, and on the same page. Look, caregiving shouldn't feel like it's a game of telephone. You know how it goes. Mom goes to the doctor, and your sister hears one thing, your brother hears another, and by the time it gets to you, None of it makes sense. And it's not because people don't care, it's because there's so much info to keep straight. That's why I partnered with InnerHive. They're designed to bring clarity and calm to the caregiving. Look, you just hit record during a doctor's visit or important care conversation, and InnerHive automatically transcribes and summarizes everything that was said. It organizes it into one secure place. It lets you share it with your family or care team. There's no more confusion. There's no more, well, what did the doctor say again? There's no back and forth text. Everyone gets the same version of the facts without the chaos. Download the automatic note taker today at innerhive.com and start caring with confidence. Now let's get back to the conversation. I know that you and Bradley Sherman, who had introduced us, have done a lot of great work and articles about companies who are doing this. And you in the book even talk about how before you left the newsroom had talked to your company about putting together a menopause awareness program. Let's talk about that companies for a second and how putting this in the mainstream and how this issue can affect your work as well.
Oh gosh, it can affect your work in so many ways, to start with the confidence, I talk about sweating all the time, having to get up all the time to pee, not getting a good night's sleep and now having to go to work. So, raising that internal awareness is so important. I mean, I think the number was like 6 in 10. I think it's like 6 in 10 people report a positive impact on their work when menopause benefits are available to them. But like 1 in 5 consider leaving the workplace due to menopause symptoms. So, those are real things that we're talking about. And there are some different companies, a lot of them out of the UK, that have done different things to help provide, menopause friendly workplaces for women that can come in all shapes and sizes, whether it's just providing access, whether it's making them aware of benefits that they have. The journeys are very different for women in menopause, so everybody kind of needs a little bit of something, but eliminating the stigma first and foremost so that everybody feels supported is a really big deal.
I know a lot of the larger companies are doing, are having great initiatives in this. I think for someone who's with a small to mid-sized company where it might be a little more uncomfortable almost to try and initiate something like this or to bring that up. What have you seen there? I mean, because it's not something that's really talked about in the open, and especially if you're in a mixed or even a male-oriented dominated environment in a workplace, that's got to be a really tough one there to bring up or to address.
I don't think it's easy to always bring that up. I definitely understand that. I know we don't want to ever have penalized women, but I do think that there is a real benefit to being aware of how this will help. And we want to retain these women in the workforce and any kind of jobs that they're in. But if we're talking about a smaller companies, maybe paid time off is not an option, but maybe a fan at a desk is, or a change in uniform, or the ability to be able to, do something flexible with work hours. I think that those are low hanging fruit that would just make women feel supported.
Talk about companies and work. Let's just about like your next chapter. As I said at the beginning, I just became familiar with you when you were making your change and transition from the newsroom.
Yeah.
I mean, did you sit and say, hey, I want to do this and become really a leader in this field and write a book on menopause? Or was it just like this, hey, wow, I'm retiring. What the hell do I do now?
No, I left to do this in particular. Yeah, retiring wasn't even part of it. I just knew that I really wanted to continue this conversation. It was really, really important to me. It was, it wasn't easy. Like, it doesn't come easy in any way to make decisions like that, but it was very, very necessary for me. So I'm super excited that I made the change. I'm very aware that, I think we're looking for purpose during these times. And this is just kind of where I found it. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier that I did.
You're right. We hit this, and whether it's something that's purpose driven, saying, hey, I want to go on this next chapter and go here. It's the unknown, especially if you've had a career for the past 20 plus years doing something and being successful and accomplished in that fear of the unknown. I've been an expert in my field. And now I'm trying something new. You're a rookie again.
Man,
what?
I'm a rookie every day of my life these days.
Well, that's just it. I think that's the whole thing with, midlife, with, advanced adulting is, you're expected to have your shit together and have all the answers at this stage of life.
Yeah.
No, nobody does.
Nobody does. That's all. Yeah, anybody that says they do, good luck. I mean, I can throw a couple of curveballs at them and see what they say about them. I'm sorry. We don't all have it together. We're just doing the best we can. And I really do believe that.
I think that's the funny thing when I see a lot of the experts and gurus out there. Hey, it's easy to sit there and talk about, hey, let's find our purpose and do this when you got 8 figures and you're sitting on a beach somewhere,
Yeah.
versus you have all these things that are thrown at you.
We're all doing the best we can. And I think that, I get excited to see people pivot, find careers, make mistakes, start over again. I think that those are all really important things to do. And I don't love them as my mistakes, but I learn from them. I definitely learn from each one of them.
I think that's the thing when we talk about mistakes or screw ups, and whether it's in your career or relationships or anything like that, is what you have 100% success rate so far surviving these things. No
Yes,
matter how bad
exactly.
it is, no matter how it's killed you, you've managed to make it here.
I know, right? This far. We
Fairly
got this far.
unscathed. Yeah. Um, One of those things that hits everybody that you make mistakes on is relationships.
Mhm.
And I know that you have talked about and done a lot of work on social media, talking about dating. And you were single forever. I'm not married. Don't plan on getting married again,
Yeah.
but in a long-term relationship. And when you're 23, 27, no one says, I wonder what my second marriage is going to be like. I wonder what it's going to be like to try and date again at 50. That's a whole other unexpected twists and turns, isn't it?
It is. It is. I never wanted to get married again. That was never anything that I had really talked about. But when I met my now husband, I was like, well, I want to walk the world with him. But dating out there, after a certain age, can be confusing as heck. And I think we're also have to be real with ourselves during this time. I mean, I think it's really, really important to be real with ourselves, not waste
Mm-hmm.
time mulling, over dating apps and hoping that somebody finally picks up the phone and calls. Like, I think dating apps can be part of it, but I
Right.
think there's a lot of different ways to meet somebody. I think that it can be an exciting time because you know what you don't want anymore, and
Yep.
that's half the battle. And then I think it's also important to know who is out there, so you're not going down the same paths that maybe you did before in relationships that didn't work out.
Well, I think that's it right there for so many
Yeah,
people. And I did this. I don't know, but I don't know on your history with it, but
I
you,
have a lot of
you,
history.
oh my, yeah, exactly. You go down the same path before,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like, I mean, my
hundred
friends,
percent.
my friends used to give me a hard time about this is, they said, Bradley, you get better looking versions of the same person every time. And they call them coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah. They said, if they are hot, dark, and bitter, that is for you. You just keep doing the same thing again and again. I didn't quite realize that the problem was mine. That
yeah,
was it. I just kept picking the same type of person, and it ended up being I was running away from myself. We hear about take care of your. Oh, totally. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can do that. No, you gotta get your own stuff together first.
right, right. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I've been down that road
Yeah.
many, many times.
I think it's on one of your most recent podcasts. You were talking about dating and relationships with somebody, and you were talking about your husband Ira,
Yeah,
and it was how he probably wasn't what you would have picked.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
wasn't the type,
yeah.
and I think that is so important for people at our age to once you finally
Oh, yeah. You
give
have to
up.
be honest with yourself.
Yeah, you gotta look. We're all used cars. We're all used cars. We're all just dinged. Nobody's
That's
gonna be
true.
perfect on
Everyone's a
this.
little dinged.
Yeah. What was it that really made you decide him? Because it wasn't really your type, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was my time when I was younger. I felt safe. I felt I didn't have to change and be somebody I wasn't. I felt like he
Hmm.
was going to add to my life, not uh, fight every part of what I'd already built. And
Right.
I think it was just easy. It's just easy. And I love him more every day as a result of that. And it's really nice versus like I've got to morph myself and change who I am and hope that he likes this part. Like I don't have any of those thoughts anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
some parts I don't know how he likes, but most of the time he's pretty patient with me.
That's such a huge thing. I mean, I think that a lot of people
It
I know
is.
I did. I was married for a long time, and the example I use is like a chameleon.
Yeah.
A chameleon changes its color to adapt to
Yeah.
survive, and so much of the time, and we have to adapt. Who we are. We don't change color, but we change our dreams, our
Yeah.
voice.
I don't
All
think
of
all
these
that changes.
things. No, just like this. You like the color, you don't. Here it is.
All that
You know?
changes. All that changes,
Yeah, that's
which
good.
is exciting, which is the exciting part of it all.
It is. It's kind of funny. I mean, the other big lesson that I had. I don't know if you experienced this as well, but it was you know, it doesn't always have to be I loved the roller coaster.
Right.
Hot, awesome, fun, 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 fun. Oh my God, what a train wreck! It's this stuff. I mean, you realize this is not boring. This is actually healthy. This is
Of
pretty a good thing.
course.
This
Of
is good stuff
course.
here. Yeah.
It just takes us time to learn it, it just takes us time.
Well, and admit it. I think that's the biggest
And admit
part
it.
right there.
Very, very,
Yeah.
very smart. And
One of the things, yeah, one of the things I love about you've done pieces on what I wish I knew at 23 or
yeah,
32 or anything
yeah.
like that. Um, that can be in so many different things. One of the things I like to ask my guests is, okay, you're going to go back and have coffee with yourself.
Hmm.
You have coffee with your younger
Yeah.
version. So that's it. What would you tell yourself about anything? You got a 5-minute coffee. You're going to go, put
Yeah.
down an espresso.
Life is
What's the
not going
biggest
to
thing?
turn out the way that you're planning it right now. So stop panicking about all the BS that doesn't matter. Be appreciative of these moments and that you want to enjoy every single one of these decades in here because there's something cool in each one of them. 100%. That would be, I don't even have to question what I would say.
That's perfect.
That's
That's good.
exactly what I would say.
All right.
It's true.
What What are you most excited about right now?
Oh gosh, I think I'm most excited about keeping moving this documentary and book around the country because I keep going into all these different communities and talking to new women and hearing new stories. And I really like that. And then I'm most excited about my podcast because I love talking to people like this. So I've been interviewing, we have 6 episodes that have come out now and
Hmm.
we're halfway through the season. So I'm excited. Yeah. To turn my attention to it anyway.
Excellent. Just kind of, and
Yeah.
what I think is so great about that is, look, we talk about reinventing ourselves at midlife.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking what you've done for years in the newsroom and just putting a whole different spin on it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing for a lot of us is we overlook. You have all the tools, you have all the
Yeah, I didn't
experience.
realize any of that until like halfway through it. And I'm like, oh, this is what I've been doing my whole life. I forgot. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see it when you can start looking at yourself again.
very cool. Tamsen Fadal, thank you for being here on Advanced
Thank you
Adulting.
so much. You're wonderful. You're so easy to talk to.